One email ended my career. Another email ended his life as he knew it. This is the story of how I went from the guy who fixed everyone's bugs to the guy who burned the whole server room down, metaphorically, and walked out holding the only key. Grab something strong. You're not ready. Hey, my name's Alex Thompson. 32, born and raised in Tacoma, moved to Seattle because that's what you do when you can sling code. University of Washington hoodie still in the rotation. Still got student loans breathing down my neck like a repo man. For 5 years, I worked at Corvus Dynamics, a disruptive B2B SaaS company in South Lake Union that nobody outside the industry has ever heard of, but inside the bubble we were gods. I was a senior software engineer on the payments team. The guy who could make a legacy COBOL system talk to React in the same breath. The guy who pulled all-nighters when production shot itself at 3 a.m. and never asked for extra pay, just Red Bull and a thanks man. My boss, Derek Harlan, VP of Engineering, was the golden boy. 41, perfect hair plugs, always rocking those $800 Golden Goose sneakers with the deliberate scuffs. He had this way of leaning back in stand-up, arms crossed, nodding while I explained the architecture I built, then 5 minutes later presenting it to the execs as my vision. I didn't care. I liked the work. I liked my teammates, most of them. Sarah on UX, who brought her golden retriever to the office on Fridays. Raj, who blasted Bollywood remixes when we hit deadlines. We had a group chat called The Real Corvus, where we roasted Derek's inspirational Slack messages. Let's make waves, not ripples, fam. It felt like family. Dysfunctional, sure, but family. I even stayed loyal when the layoffs started rolling in 2023. 3 rounds. Good people gone. I kept my head down, kept shipping. Derek pulled me into his office one day, closed the door, did that thing where he put both palms on the desk like he was about to give the State of the Union. Alex, he said, you're the kind of talent we protect. You're untouchable, brother. I believed him. Then came the week everything cracked open. We were pushing a massive update to our payment gateway, something that would shave 40 milliseconds off reconciliation times and make investors cream their chinos. I owned the critical path. Derek kept adding requirements last minute, classic scope creep, but he was my boss, so I made it happen. 70-80-hour weeks. My girlfriend Mia started sleeping on the couch because I'd come home at 2 a.m. reeking of Red Bull and desperation. Release day. 4:57 a.m. I'm in the office alone, monitors glowing, fingers shaking from caffeine. I run the final sanity check. Everything green. I click deploy. 37 minutes later, production alerts explode. $3 million in transactions duplicated. Customers screaming. Derek blows up my phone. WTF did you do? I'm staring at logs, heart jackhammering. It wasn't my code. Someone had hotfixed a config change directly in prod 2 hours earlier, bypassing review. The commit author? D. Harlan. He changed the retry logic himself because it needed to be faster for the demo and forgot to revert it. I screenshot everything. I walk into the war room at 7 a.m. ready to show the team it was an honest mistake. We all make them. Let's just roll back and own it. Derek gets there first. He's already built the narrative. He stands at the whiteboard, voice calm, lethal. We trusted Alex with the most critical release in Corvus history, and he let us down. Effective immediately, we're terminating his employment for gross negligence. Just like that. Security walked me out while people I'd mentored for years stared at their shoes. Sarah's dog whimpered when they took my badge. I left my succulent on the windowsill. The one I'd kept alive for 4 years. In the elevator down, I kept waiting for the part where Derek texts, "Hey man, damage control. We'll fix this. You'll be back Monday." It never came. By the time I hit the street, rain soaking my hoodie, the Slack announcement was already up. We wish Alex the best in his future endeavors. That was the moment my old life ended. The first week unemployed, I didn't leave my apartment in Capitol Hill. One bedroom, $2,400 a month, the kind of place where the gym is a treadmill in the hallway that smells like old socks. I kept refreshing my email expecting an apology, a severance offer, something. Nothing. Mia tried. She really did. Made me lasagna, rubbed my shoulders, told me it wasn't my fault. But every time she asked what actually happened, I couldn't even form the words. I just stared at the ceiling and felt this black tar spreading in my chest. I started drinking at 3 p.m. Not fancy craft IPAs anymore, just the cheapest vodka from the corner store that burned all the way down. I'd sit on the fire escape watching tech bros in Patagonia vests walk their designer dogs and wonder how many of them had screwed someone to get where they were. Unemployment office in Soto. Gray walls, fluorescent lights that make everyone look dead. The lady across the desk asked what my last salary was. I told her 185 plus stock. She didn't blink, just typed it in. Said I'd get $1,087 every 2 weeks before taxes. I laughed out loud. People stared. I burned through savings fast. Had to sell my 2018 Subaru to cover rent. The guy who bought it worked at Corvus. Saw me on OfferUp, messaged rough break man. Heard what happened. I wanted to drive it into Elliott Bay. The rage came in waves. I'd be fine. Then I'd remember Derek clapping me on the shoulder at last year's holiday party saying, "You're the future of this company, Alex," and I'd punch the wall until my knuckles bled. I tried applying to new jobs. 20 applications, 2 recruiter screens that ghosted me the second they heard Corvus. Word travels fast when a VP marks you radioactive. References? Derek had already told the network I struggled with pressure. One night, I got drunk enough to email him. Not the polished version. The real one. "You know what you did. You're a coward and a thief, and someday someone will see you for what you are." He replied in 8 minutes. "Threatening emails are a violation of your severance agreement. Cease contact or legal will be involved." There was no severance agreement. He just made that up. I threw my phone so hard the screen shattered. Mia found me the next morning asleep on the bathroom floor. She packed a bag while I pretended to be unconscious. When I woke up, there was a note. "I can't watch you disappear. I'm sorry." Door clicked shut. That sound still echoes. I was alone. Really alone. Then one morning, hungover, eating cereal with water because I was out of milk, I opened my laptop to close all the Corvus tabs I couldn't bring myself to touch. Muscle memory. I typed the old VPN address. It connected. I stared at the login screen for a full minute. They never deactivated my credentials. Classic Corvus security. We were always too busy shipping features to revoke access properly. I typed my password out of habit. It worked. I was in. My cursor hovered. I could just log out. Walk away. Let it go. Instead, I opened Outlook. And that's when the tar in my chest turned into something hotter. Because Derek's calendar was wide open, and the top entry for tomorrow read offshore transfer, final tranche. I didn't know what it meant yet, but I knew I wasn't done. That was the moment I stopped falling. First rule of revenge: don't be stupid. I didn't go full movie hacker with hoodies and dramatic music. I created a brand new Proton mail, routed through a VPN paid for with a prepaid Visa I bought at Safeway with cash. Burner everything. I cloned my old access into a VM so if they ever did kill my credentials, I'd still have a snapshot. Then I started reading. Turns out Derek wasn't just a credit-stealing asshole. He was cooking the books, classic startup fraud. Inflating ARR by routing payments through shell companies he controlled in the Caymans, then rebating himself consulting fees. Millions. He'd been doing it for 18 months. The beauty? He used our own internal tools to hide it. The same systems I'd built. Every night for 3 weeks I sat in the dark, headphones on, sipping gas station coffee, mapping the fraud like it was the most beautiful code base I'd ever seen. I took screenshots, exported CSVs, built a timeline. I was meticulous. Because if I was going to burn him, I wasn't leaving fingerprints. But I needed more than data. I needed someone on the inside who hated him almost as much as I did. Sarah from UX. She'd been laid off 2 months after me, another casualty of Derek's reorg for agility. I slid into her DMs with the Proton mail. Told her I had something she needed to see. We met at Victrola Coffee on Beacon Hill, corner booth, rain hammering the windows. I slid the USB across the table. Her eyes got wide, then narrow, then wet. He told me my role was redundant, she whispered. My dog had cancer, Alex. I begged him for 2 more months so I could pay the vet. She copied everything. Gave me names of 2 board members who were already suspicious, old-school finance guys who didn't like the smell of Derek's numbers. I built the package, 187 pages, color-coded, executive summary on top like a resume for his prison sentence. I called it Project Phoenix. Now the hard part, delivery. I couldn't just email the board. They'd trace it, bury it, circle the wagons. Needed deniability. Needed chaos. Then I saw the all-hands invite, annual leadership offsite in Napa. For days. Derek plus the entire C-suite, drinking $400 bottles of cab while the rank-and-file prayed not to be next on the RF list. Perfect. I wrote the leak script in Python, scheduled it to fire from a bulletproof VPS in Romania at 2:13 p.m. on a Friday while they were all drunk on a vineyard tour. The email would hit every board member, the auditors, and, because I'm petty, the Seattle Times tech reporter who loved takedowns. Subject line: Corvus Dynamics, financial irregularities, full evidence attached. Sender: concerned.corvus.whistleblower@proton.me. I hovered over execute for 6 hours. This would tank the stock. People I liked would lose jobs. Sarah warned me some would blame the messenger. I thought about Mia's note. About Derek's fake sympathetic head tilt when he fired me. About the way he said gross negligence, like he was reading my eulogy. I pressed enter. Then I threw up in the kitchen sink. For 72 hours I refreshed news, Slack, alumni channels, blind. Nothing. Maybe they killed it. Maybe I was too late. Then Monday morning my phone started exploding. By noon Monday the auditors descended. Men in expensive suits with no sense of humor. Corvus went dark on Slack, no more memes, no more GIFs. Just the emergency channel and a message from the CEO. Please refrain from external discussion until we have facts. Derek pinned the blame on a rogue junior engineer, me, and claimed he'd been building a case before I went off the rails. Classic Darvo. The board wasn't buying it. Not when the paper trail had his digital signature on every transfer. Stock dropped 43% in a day. Employees started getting "you have a meeting with HR" calendar invites. Blood in the water. I watched from the sidelines, eating top ramen, feeling this sick cocktail of vindication and guilt. Sarah texted me crying. Her new job offer got rescinded because of the instability. Collateral damage. But I wasn't done. See, the board needed a fall guy, but they also needed someone to right the ship before the company imploded. Investors were threatening to pull funding. Customers were pausing contracts. That's when I got the LinkedIn message from Margaret Cho, chair of the compensation committee. 62 years old, legendary in Seattle tech, no bullshit. Mr. Thompson, we should talk. We met at Canary Coffee in Belltown, neutral ground. She didn't waste time. We know the whistleblower is you. We can't prove it yet, but we will if we need to. Question is, do you want to be enemy or solution? I laughed in her face. You people destroyed my life. You're not wrong, she said, sipping an Americano. But Derek destroyed the company. We need an interim head of engineering who knows where the bodies are buried, literally, in this case, and can keep the lights on while we clean house. Someone the remaining engineers trust. She slid a term sheet across the table. Title: VP of Engineering Interim. Salary: $375,000. Signing bonus: $200,000. Full exoneration, public apology, backdated to preserve options. I stared at it for a long time. You want me to come back? I asked. We want you to finish what you started. I signed. 2 days later, Derek was escorted out by actual security this time. I watched the video someone filmed on their phone. He looked small, human, scared. He saw me standing by the elevators in a new blazer that actually fit. His face went through every stage of grief in 3 seconds. He's fat. Hi, Derek. Welcome to the unemployment line. Security grabbed his arms. He started yelling about lawsuits, about how I'd never get away with this. I just smiled the way he used to smile when he took credit for my work. As the elevator doors closed on him, I felt nothing. Not joy, not relief. Just this hollow wind blowing through me. That night I sat in my old apartment, now half empty because Mia took her stuff, and stared at the succulents someone had watered in my absence. They were still alive. I opened a bottle of the good Japanese whiskey I'd been saving for a celebration that never came. I didn't drink it. 6 months later. Corvus survived, barely. We open-sourced half the codebase to regain trust, paid massive fines, settled with the SEC, stocks climbing again. I'm no longer interim, they dropped the label. The board loves me. Employees call me the Phoenix. I hate that nickname. Derek got indicted. Federal. They froze his accounts, seized the Lake Washington house with the Sub-Zero fridge he loved bragging about. His wife left him. Took the kids to Portland. I heard he's living in a studio in Tacoma now. My hometown. Karma has a sense of humor. Sometimes I drive past his building just to see if the lights are on. I never stop. People keep asking if I feel vindicated. Like this was some Disney ending. It wasn't. I won. On paper, spectacularly. But every morning I wake up at 4:17 a.m. exactly, heart racing, convinced security is coming for me next. I still check my tires for GPS trackers. I flinch when Slack pings. Mia won't return my texts. Sarah got a better job eventually, but she doesn't speak to me anymore. Too many good people got hurt in the blast radius. The succulents died anyway. I forgot to water them once I moved into the big office with the view. Last week I found Derek's old coffee mug in a cabinet, the one that said "World's Okayest Boss." I almost threw it away. Instead, I washed it. Put it on my desk. Reminder. Because here's the part nobody tells you about revenge. When you become the monster to slay the monster, you don't get to stop being the monster just because you won. Sometimes late at night, I open that old Proton Mail draft, the one I never sent. The one where I apologized to everyone I burned. I add a line, delete it, add it again. I'll never send it. So yeah, I took his job. Took his reputation. Took everything he stole from me and built it into something bigger. But every empire has a foundation, and mine is poured in concrete made of other people's pain. If you're watching this thinking revenge will make you whole again, it won't. It just makes you the kind of person who knows exactly how far they're willing to fall to watch someone else hit the ground first. In the code of life, sometimes you debug your enemies. Sometimes the bug was you all along. Camera holds on my face for a long beat. No music. Just rain on the window behind me. Fade to black. Like if this hit you in the chest. Subscribe if you want to know what happens when the Phoenix realizes the fire was inside him the whole time. I'll see you in the comments. Or maybe in the unemployment line. We're all one email away.